Hello friends, Radhika Ravi Kumar here. So in this tutorial we will see what are the properties of transaction. The property of transaction is usually termed as ACID. So ACID is nothing but it is A stands for atomicity, C stands for consistency, I stands for isolation and D for durability. So first going to atomicity. So what this atomicity means is whenever a transaction happens, either it should happen fully or else it shouldn't happen at all. So that is what is called as atomicity. So I can say guarantee that all the transaction happens or none of them. So that is what is called as atomicity. So whenever a transaction happens, it should happen completely. It cannot be half done and the value cannot be stored, or some incorrect value cannot be stored. So it should either happen fully or it shouldn't happen at all. So that is what is called as atomicity. So it's very important property of the transaction. Then coming to the consistency. Consistency is nothing but where the correct value will be stored, or you can say correctness. Okay, so it guarantees that the transaction will never leave the database with an incorrect value. Transaction should never leave the database with the half done value or incorrect value. Okay, for example, there is I can say, for example, there is a transaction that's happening. For example, I am transferring money to one of my friend. My account balance is having 1,000 rupees and my friend's account is having around 2,000 rupees. Then if I'm trying to transfer some 500 rupees to my friend, then my account should show 500 after the transaction and my friend's account should show 2,500. So this is called the correctness or the consistency of the transaction. So this is also a very important point for very important property of the transaction. Hope you guys understood this. Then comes the isolation. So isolation is the third property of the the third property of the transaction. That is nothing but which keeps the transaction from different transaction it keeps the transaction from each other until they are finished. So the transactions are kept separate until they are finished, kept separately until they are completed or finished or whatever. Okay, so this is a because see, for example, I have my, for example, okay, let me just take a general example where a husband and wife, they know they're having a similar password. Sorry, they're using the same account, and wife is doing some transaction and husband is going to the same account and trying to do some transaction on the same account. Then obviously the wife should be, or who is the first customer, he should be allowed to do the transaction, and until then the person who knows the same detail shouldn't be getting into the same account and try to do a transaction. Then it'll collide and there might be some issues with the transaction, right? Or incorrect data might get updated. So that's the reason this isolation concept is very important, where where whenever two or multiple transaction that's happening on a database concurrently, the first transaction should happen and then the second transaction or the next coming transaction can happen. That is what is called as isolation. The last one is durability. Durability is nothing but where it guarantees that the database will keep the track of the pending changes in such a way that the server can recover from an abnormal termination. So guarantee that the DB will keep track of pending changes in such a way that the server can recover from abnormal termination. So like recovery manager that can do this, that can serve this purpose. So whenever something happens to database, it should be having that backup, or it should have that capability to recover itself back. I mean, it cannot crash completely. That is what is called as durability. So these are the four properties of the transaction, and very important. So hope you guys, hope this video was useful for you guys, and I'll see you in the next tutorial. Until then, keep watching my videos and keep supporting as usual, and thank you very much for watching.